Richard Branson, Losing My Virginity, How I've Survived, Had Fun, and Made a Fortune Doing Business My Way. In the riveting autobiography, Losing My Virginity, How I've Survived, Had Fun, and Made a Fortune Doing Business My Way, Richard Branson shares his incredible journey from a dyslexic student to the founder of the internationally acclaimed Virgin Group. The book takes you through his relentless pursuit of adventure and his penchant for defying conventional thinking. Branson's rollercoaster life story is brimming with anecdotes about enthusiastic risk-taking, survival instincts, and, most importantly, his unwavering passion for business.
Richard Branson's early adventures. Richard Branson is known for his daring and unconventional style, but where did it all start? As a child, Branson was constantly challenged by his family to overcome obstacles and push himself to explore his limits. From biking over 50 miles without directions at 11 years old to jumping into a river to win a bet, Branson's early adventures set the stage for a life of daring and entrepreneurship. Creating a magazine empire. Richard Branson, along with his fellow student Johnny Gems, founded Student Magazine as an outlet for criticisms of their school, but it became a celebration of pop student culture and contemporary issues. However, the biggest challenge was finding the money to publish the magazine, which led Branson to use a successful strategy of hooking in advertisers. Despite his dyslexia, Branson dedicated more time and effort to editing and writing for the magazine than his coursework. The magazine gained attention for its coverage of international events and music scene, including exclusive interviews with famous musicians. Revolutionizing record distribution. Branson, with his insight into the music scene, saw the potential of a mail-order system for records at a lower price than W.H. Smith's. With the help of his childhood friend, he began Virgin Mail Order and advertised in the student magazine. The company received upfront payments and built up a large balance which allowed them to purchase records directly from a local shop at a discounted price. Virgin Mail Order flourished throughout the 1970s, despite a potential disaster when the post office went on strike in 1971, preventing customers from sending checks and receiving records. Virgin's rise to success. In 1971, Virgin started as a mail-order record business during a postal strike. Once the strike ended, Virgin opened their first brick-and-mortar store in an empty room above a shoe store. They were allowed to use this space for free due to the influx of potential customers. The store's welcoming atmosphere led to rapid expansion, but Virgin struggled to keep their balance between profitability and maintaining their desired atmosphere. They ultimately found success by changing store layouts and emphasizing their status as a shop rather than a hangout spot. Through their innovative business strategies, Virgin grew from a small mail-order business to a chain of 14 successful record stores in England. Branson's Virgin Music Empire. Richard Branson's path to success with Virgin Records and his unconventional approach to recording studios is detailed in this summary. Richard Branson had already found success through his mail-order record business, but soon discovered that there was even greater potential in owning a recording studio and record label. He noticed that most studios were too formal for the wild and spirited pop and rock culture that had begun in the 1960s. So, at just 21 years old, Branson set out to buy a country house that he could convert into a recording studio. After weeks of searching, he found the perfect location, a beautiful, 17th-century manor, but the asking price was far more than he had. Undeterred, Branson investigated the sales figures of his other ventures and was able to secure a mortgage from the British bank Coutts and a loan from his aunt. With the location secured, Branson founded Virgin Records, his own music label. The integration with the Virgin Group allowed them to sign their own artists, offer them a place to record, publish and release their records, and promote and sell their records through their own chain of music shops. Their first artist was Mike Oldfield, who recorded Tubular Bells at the Virgin Manor, selling over 13 million copies and catapulting Branson's company to success beyond his wildest dreams. Branson's unconventional approach to recording studios, with a focus on creating a conducive and attractive environment for bands to come and record, paid off. By taking a chance on his passion for the music industry, Branson was able to build an empire that would change the face of the music industry. Saving the Sex Pistols. In 1976, Virgin Records was in financial trouble. Except for Mike Oldfield, none of the label's acts were making any money. To revive their label, they needed an act that would raise their profile. In May 1977, Malcolm McLaren, the manager of the Sex Pistols, signed the band to Virgin. McLaren was hoping to be dropped from the contract due to their indecent behavior, but Virgin did not have any shareholders to protest their actions, and hence, McLaren's hopes were dashed. The release of their album, Never Mind the Bollocks, Here's the Sex Pistols, resulted in legal issues with the police threatening to enjoin the album. Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin Records, brought in a linguist, James Kinsley, as a witness to the court case. Kinsley argued that the word bollocks was a nickname for priests and not testicles. He further argued that the title of the album had no offense to the church. Ironically, Kinsley was also a reverend, and the case was eventually dismissed. This incident saved the Sex Pistols album and made Branson and Virgin Records famous. Branson's Island Adventure. Richard Branson's journey to owning Necker Island and starting Virgin Airways. Richard Branson's journey to becoming a billionaire entrepreneur was full of interesting twists and turns. One of his most notable experiences was in 1978 when he visited the Virgin Islands to be close to his future wife, Joan. Branson heard that expressing interest in purchasing an island would provide an opportunity for a helicopter tour of the area. Taking the opportunity, he contacted an estate agent to inquire about properties on the Virgin Islands that Virgin Music could offer to artists as a place to record and relax. The couple was shown the beautiful and remote Necker Island. Initially uninterested in buying it, Branson inquired about the price anyway and was shocked to learn it was a staggering £3 million. He made an offer of £150,000 but was thrown out of the villa. After returning to London, he learned the owner needed to make a quick sale and upped his offer to £175,000, eventually settling on £180,000. Not only did Branson acquire his own island, but his experience on the Virgin Islands also led to the creation of Virgin Airways. When his flight back to Puerto Rico was cancelled, he chartered a plane for $2,000 and wrote Virgin Airways, $39 single flight to Puerto Rico, on a blackboard. Thus, he inadvertently advertised the launch of a new airline. Branson's island adventure was a significant moment in his career and an example of the risks he was willing to take to achieve success. Virgin's risky move. In the 1980s, Virgin Music was on the brink of bankruptcy despite signing new wave bands like the Sex Pistols, Simple Minds, and the Human League. The financial director left, leaving Richard Branson as the sole owner of a failing company. However, the emergence of the compact disc and Mike Oldfield's successful CD sales brought in a significant amount of revenue for Virgin. Additionally, Branson's trust in his musical scout and advisor, Simon Draper, paid off when almost all the bands he had brought in sold extremely well. The Human League's third album, Dare, sold 1 million copies in Britain and 3 million worldwide, and newcomers like Phil Collins, Boy George, Simple Minds, XTC, and Heaven 17 all proved tremendously successful. These factors contributed to Virgin becoming the undisputed independent label, with profits of £2 million in 1982 and a staggering £11 million in 1983. Branson's tumultuous venture. In 1984, Branson decided to open an airline after being approached by Randolph Fields. Despite senior management opposition, Branson leased a jumbo from Boeing for a year, with the idea to retreat if the project was unsuccessful. However, they faced challenges, including obtaining flight permits, creating advertisements, installing a ticketing system, and passing a test flight. The test flight ended in disaster and resulted in the need for a new engine and license, which cost £600,000, exceeding their £3 million overdraft, placing Virgin Airways on the brink of insolvency. To avoid financial ruin, Branson gathered funds from overseas stores, which allowed the airline to continue its operations. Ultimately, Virgin Airways became successful under Branson's leadership, who was 33 at the time. Branson's record-breaking streak. In 1984, Richard Branson agreed to sponsor Ted Tolman's catamaran to cross the Atlantic and recapture the Blue Ribbon Trophy for Britain. Though they faced turbulent waters, sinking, and failed attempts, Branson's determination led to the creation of the Virgin Atlantic Challenger 2, which set a new world record. His resourcefulness, connections, and resilience resulted in a remarkable achievement. Branson's humanitarian mission. In 1990, Branson was contacted by Queen Noor of Jordan to help provide 100,000 blankets for Iraqi refugees in Jordan. He gathered 30,000 blankets and several tons of rice and removed the seats from a Boeing 747 to deliver the supplies. Branson also negotiated a deal with Saddam Hussein to release hostages in exchange for medical supplies. He and a volunteer crew flew to Baghdad, rescued most of the hostages, but had to leave the men behind at the airport. Record-setting balloon journey. Richard Branson and Per Lindstrand set out to cross the Pacific in a hot air balloon, aiming to arrive in California in just 2 days and secure the world record for fastest speed while being the first to complete the crossing. Despite dropping more fuel than planned and losing communication with their control center, the pair managed to stay in the jet stream, which carried them at 170 miles per hour. After a propane leak caused a fire in the capsule, they took the balloon up to 40,000 feet to extinguish the fire due to lack of oxygen. They eventually landed in Canada, 3,000 miles away from their destination, but successfully broke the previous world record for the fastest and longest hot air balloon journey. Branson vs. British Airways. Richard Branson's legal battle against British Airways for corporate espionage, hacking, and libel. In the 1990s, Richard Branson's Virgin Group was booming, and the aviation sector was no exception. However, Branson's success in the airline industry was considered a threat by British Airways, the traditional British carrier. In an attempt to eliminate competition, British Airways resorted to an extensive campaign to tarnish Branson's reputation and sabotage his businesses. British Airways engaged in various unethical practices, such as contacting Virgin customers, offering them cheaper flights, and claiming that Virgin's flights were overbooked or cancelled. They even hacked into Virgin's database to gain access to confidential booking information. British Airways also hired detectives and PR representatives to investigate and discredit Branson, his family, and his company. Despite several Virgin customers coming forward with evidence of British Airways' dirty tactics, officials responsible for airline competition refused to acknowledge any wrongdoing. It was only when Branson's team obtained a hard drive containing all the conversations between top British Airways executives that it became clear the airline had indeed made a deliberate attempt to discredit Virgin. With the incriminating evidence in hand, Branson took British Airways to court. The airline changed its strategy from denial to settlement, paying a record-breaking £500,000 to Branson and £110,000 to Virgin Atlantic. The airline also had to make a public apology and admit guilt for corporate espionage, hacking, and libel. In conclusion, Branson's legal battle highlights the lengths some businesses will go to eliminate competition and the importance of standing up against unethical practices.
Richard Branson's Losing My Virginity encapsulates the essence of entrepreneurial resilience, innovation, and adventure. With a fearlessness that drove him to explore the realm of possibilities, readers can learn from Branson's tenacity to achieve success despite numerous failures. From establishing the renowned Virgin Records to the expansion of his empire with Virgin Airways and his bold, offshore endeavors, the book is bound to leave you inspired. Branson's story is a powerful lesson in the importance of seizing opportunities and following your dreams, even when the odds are stacked against you.